certainly has been yet another challenging cropping season this year. The 2019 crop started in 2000 with a wet fall in 2018 and really hasn't let up since then. We have planted from April 20th through July 20th, if you really want to know the gosh honest truth. But what I've been noticing is that those that have started building their resilient cropping system, whether it be year 1 or year 25, those are the ones that are really rising to the top of how that quality of that crop looks, that evenness of that crop, that color of that crop, whether it be corn or soybeans. Have you noticed the same thing?
I've seen the same thing, and you know, while this year's been challenging, I think this has been a bit of a trend for us, and farmers are realizing, you know, whether we go back to 2008, 2012, we're either getting too much water, not enough water, we're getting weather extremes that are affecting, you know, the risk and the sustainability of our farmland out there. And so I think having that resilience built into a cropping system is on the mind, the back, you know, on the back of every farmer's mind right now, because they want to be sustainable. They have a love of their land. They want to take care of their crops, and they want to be successful. And so as we work with farmers, that resilience is very important. And so when, you know, a lot of us talk about soil health, and in the very definition of soil health, we have, you know, the continued capacity of a soil to function as a vital living ecosystem that sustains plants, animals, and of course us. And that means us means society. And so when we're talking about soil health, that resilience, those soil functions are so important to their resilience. And so if we're going to manage for that, we have some management principles that we talk about, that we find that helps that living ecosystem restore and regenerate some of those soil functions that are inherent to most of our soils. And if we can reduce the disturbance, if we can keep that soil covered, if we can add some diversity to that soil for that ecosystem, and if that ecosystem needs to be fed by the plants and the living roots, then we need to have living roots there more of the time. And so those are our 4 management principles that seem to be very relevant across any land use and any enterprise across the country. We find that. But as we look at that sounds very simple, right? So why aren't all farmers just doing that? Why doesn't everybody have a soil health management system? And I think the thing we have to realize is farmers place an extremely high amount of capital at risk every single year. As human beings, we're a little bit risk adverse, and that's probably good, because that comes from our instinct for self-preservation. It's why we probably are still on this planet. And so having that ability to manage risk as we make some of these management changes, not all these management steps for successful integration of those management principles are intuitive. And so it's really key that we have a really good support system as we make significant changes to our management on the land. And so, you know, at the retail level, you know, our co-ops provide a lot of service and for that. So Betsy, I know you guys have really worked hard at providing that kind of service.
Yes, we have, and we want, number one, we want our farmers, our producers to be successful. We want them to be successful at the cropping system that they choose, and building their soil health system, building that more resilient cropping system. We want to help them do that. And so some of the offers that we do have cover crops that we offer every year. We have several of our CCAs, Certified Crop Advisors with our own organization, that can have a good in-depth conversation on which cover crops to choose, because they understand that manager. They know how that manager can go ahead and manage that crop. So they aren't going to choose cover crops that they're going to be less than satisfied with because of not being as timely, if that manager isn't as timely. We help work through the nutrition part of things. We know that cover crops can change that soil system in a way that we might have to change the way that we focus our nutrition in that crop, we also have to be planning for the termination process. And so we offer services that allow us to optimize that system so he can have better success year 1, year 3, year 10, year 15.
So Betsy, we've had a real positive working relationship for probably 2 decades now. We were talking about that earlier. So, and as a part of that, you know, we've actually worked with each other to help train our staff that we service. And so I think that's been a really positive outcome when it comes, especially as we started working on this soil health management system, because we work hard as a USDA agency to bring the science, the science, and we work with our research arms to bring good science to the table. But without that practical field level interaction that your CCAs, that your crop advisors have, sometimes that practical application gets missed if we can't integrate and collaborate and work together. And I think that's really been positive for us.
Yes, it has. Over the last 20 years, we've been on the same meeting agendas. We've been able to have those discussions. We've been able to talk our customers together. We know that we've got shared customers, so how do we do the best job for that customer? And so while the NRCS provides that skill set with conservation, the Ag-Retailer provides that skill set with nutrient management and pest management that fits in to those NRCS standards. So it's been a great working relationship that has evolved from the local level to the state level. And we offer a lot of soil health discussions at our Certified Crop Advisor meeting that we have every year in Indiana, and it's been real successful.
Yeah, soil health has been a part of that. Both of us are certified crop advisors, so we get to work together at that level also. And I think as we bring that whole crowd of 800 plus people together every year and give them the opportunity to hear kind of the same message, to hear some of the newest, greatest technology, some of the latest breaking science and research that we bring together, then as an entire community of crop advisors, we have some continuity of message for those producers. And as a result, I think one of the greatest rewards that I've had in my 38 years, you know, with USDA is some of those farmers that we've probably worked together on, you know, we've gotten to watch them from their very first steps into using no-till or cover crops or into a soil health management system. We've helped them with some of those, you know, there's some struggles along the way, and we've gotten to work together. And so today, 20 years later, what do we see in some of these farmers?
Well, we see them wrapping their arms around that soil health system. They don't need to be paid anymore, so to speak, to practice putting in cover crops or managing their nutrition as well as can be. They know that it works on their farm, and they're doing it every year. They're doing their whole farm, 2,500 acres, 5,000 acres, 16,000 acres, whatever it may be, because they've practiced those practices. They've seen the success. They know that they really don't want to do without those practices. It's been very rewarding.
Yeah, and so that helps us too it gives us a sense of confidence that when that new producer comes in, that new producer has maybe been to a meeting, has heard about cover crops, has heard about soil health. And so when that new producer comes in, we both want that producer to be successful, not just to try it 1 year, but to truly have sustainable success as they build. So that young farmer that walks through the door, some of this management is not necessarily intuitive. It's maybe not what their father or grandfather or mother or grandmother did on their farm. They may need some help. And so just for an example, what some of those managements that's not intuitive. I've got a farmer comes in that's wanting to do cover crops and maybe some no-till. What are your folks going to tell them?
We're going to talk to them about, hey, we can help you with that. So what is your goal first for that cover crop? Do you want it to stabilize soil? Do you want to build some nitrogen in the soil? How do you plan to get it seeded? Which crop are you going to follow with? And so if we know that producer is going to follow with corn, we're going to sort of probably do having some more in-depth discussions about nutrition. We know that we might need to change that nitrogen program, and so we're going to suggest ways that either we're going to add starter to his planter, or we can use some of our facilities to add some nitrogen into the system that he hadn't before to ensure that he's got success. So it's just case in points, and if we know the direction that he's going, then we can do a better job of tailoring that soil health system to improve success. So he doesn't have, just to improve success.
Yeah, so that's just one example. That was one little small tidbit of what we would look at. Maybe the USDA is offering a program and offering some good technical support with that, but at the same time they're going to also go into, and they're going to need some of these services from their local co-op or from their local ag advisor. So having everybody on the same page, kind of with the same understanding of the goals and the needs and the steps for success, is really critical. And so I guess I look out into the audience and I see that there's a lot of young research minds, there's a lot of young farmers, and if I could speak to young professionals, young conservationists in the crowd, you know, after we've had some years and spent some time together. We're not brand new at this, but the successes that we've seen and the understanding that we have today, I guess I would challenge you that early in your year you have a huge opportunity to pursue this thing called soil health and this understanding of how to make this system successful on your farm, on your clients' farms, or in the state that you're doing research in. You have the ability to watch true benefits occur for our natural resources. You have a true ability to change the world that you live in and that your family is going to grow up and flourish in. Very few people have that opportunity, but as young minds and young members of this conservation movement, of this agriculture movement, I would challenge you to take this first step. Don't wait, and you will be amazed at the amount of improvement, and just imagine what if on a broad scale we had widespread adoption of soil health management. What would that mean as a society? What would that mean for water? What would that mean for flooding? What would that be for economic sustainability of our agricultural systems? What if we could adopt soil health on a broad basis? Thank you.
Thank you.